交易者听起来很酷，没盈利又什么都不是。K 线之间，你屡败屡战，却屡战屡败，浑然不知是眼界输了。金钱永不眠，方向不止一边。电波刺穿圈层，声音勾画伦敦。这一刻，为你推开金融城的交易门。
大家好，欢迎大家来到伦敦交易者节目我是 Richard， 也是伦敦交易者的主创人。这一期的嘉宾呢是James Sullivan， 他是一个很资深的在伦敦现役的一个交易员。那他现在是有组成自己的一个40多人的一个交易团队。他是一个实战派的交易员，曾经在Life 交易所，也就是伦敦金融期货交易所做场内交易员，后来转型成为一个电子盘的交易员。同时他又是一个狂热的足球爱好者，然后他也非常坚定地认为说，只有通过不断的自律型的一些行为，才能成为一个成功的交易者。那如果说你在做交易的过程当中一直碰到一些自律型的问题的时候，那今天这个视频有可能就是你能找寻到答案的东西。那我们废话不多说，就有请我们的嘉宾 James Sullivan。Hello James, let's get started with today's interview. Say hello to our Chinese audience.
Hello Chinese audience.
Thank you for doing this interview. We will start with a quick Q&A. Let's begin.
Fundamentals. It's not for the faint-hearted trading. Nothing that's knocked us off course. Traders don't generally get. That is between me and the inland revenue, I'm afraid.
And what's your first job, actually?
Trading. I started trading shortly after I left university in 1999. And that was at a place called the Kite Group, shortly after the open outcry life floor closed in London. So it was kind of at the start of screen-based trading over here. I began there, then I moved to a company called Mac Futures, who used to clear through Refco in the early 2000s. And since then, I have been at a couple of other clearing houses, namely Marex and GH Financials. And then in 2007, Devento was formed at Tower Trading Group, and we've been here ever since.
How did you learn from the getting started to be a professional trader?
I was lucky enough to be mentored by a chap called David Kite, who was a big bund trader on the days of the floor. When I started my career in 99, I actually sat next to him at the Kite Group so I learned a lot from him. Also, there was a lot of self-learning, learning about technical analysis from books and seminars, etc. But there is no substitute for experience. You learn by your mistakes.
Do you think you are a talent trader?
Well, I'm still here 20 years later, so I must have something about me.
And what kind of trading style currently are you using, or do you like best?
As I said earlier, we use a combination of technical analysis and fundamental analysis, but we also have a couple of automated systems that trade algorithmically for us. We also run a small market making operation. So it's a combination of a number of things.
I think you met a lot of profitable traders during your life. Really want to share with our audience what kind of professional traders can get the profits from the market. How big is the profit?
Okay, well, I'm not going to give you names. I'm not going to give you figures, but obviously on the big events that I talked about earlier, your 9/11, central bank emergency rate cuts, it's not uncommon to hear about people making well in excess of £1 million on a tier one piece of data that is really out of line. It's not uncommon for someone to have a £100,000, £200,000 day. So yeah, I mean, it depends on your appetite for risk. It depends on the size that you're trading and how far you run your winners. But it's not uncommon for independent local traders in this office to, on a particularly big, busy year, to have well over £1 million. If you're not a profitable trader, you don't last very long, so you won't be here.
If we have the PM data from the European session, and how would you prepare for it? What are your strategies or steps?
We have a couple of automated systems that are event-based driven. So we'll put in the parameters within which we're willing to trade, buy side and sell side. If those parameters are reached, then the machine does the rest of the work for us based on our historical data and back testing that we've done over a number of years. If the data is particularly out of line, we will also trade that manually. But obviously, as you can imagine, trading something manually, if it is really out of line, you're not going to be getting the best prices. The machines are obviously going to be a lot quicker.
I know you trade news or events because you use your automated strategies. I guess you will set up some, trading plan before you trade such events. If you trade the ECB Draghi press conference, how you set up the strategy before that event? So I think you will have a short meetings with your traders.
As you rightly said, before any major announcements or any major central bank meetings, we have a small trader conference, a small trader meeting where we run through ideas and possible scenarios. But prior to that, everybody would have done extensive research, would have read as many analytical papers as they can on it, and also going back over previous press conferences, because as you know, central bankers tend to like to use the same wording. Just the omission or addition of one single word can make the difference between a buy and a sell. So we go back over our notes that we've made on previous press conferences, as well as doing extensive research into other people's opinions on what we may or may not expect from that central bank.
As you said before, the most of your news trading strategy is automated. How many orders you normally trade if you trade some news events?
It very much depends on the current market conditions and the particular event that you're talking about. There will be times when we will trade many thousand contracts over one figure. There'll be times you might just trade a few dozen. It depends on, like I say, the conditions of the market at the time. If it's particularly volatile, then obviously we'll trade more. If it's a very quiet market and the data that's coming out isn't particularly important, then obviously we'll trade a lot less.
Just give us an approximate volume if you trade, for example, like the ECB press conference, or how much volume you will be trade?
Anything between a few hundred and a few thousand.
Trading news or events is risky, but many retail traders like to do it. However, without enough experience, they could blow their account within minutes. What are your suggestions in this area?
Well, my first piece of advice would be prepared. Yeah? Do as much research as you can into the event that's coming out, previous market reactions to that event. Make sure you're trading the most relevant product to that event. There's no point trading Japanese yen on an ECB press conference when you should be trading the euro or the bund or whatever. So make sure you're trading the right product. Make sure you've got fast enough connectivity as well. Obviously, a lot of retail traders tend to have fairly basic setups, in my experience. And if you are fighting against the banks and the big institutions that have very deep pockets for their communications, then you are going to be a long way behind. So try and have as fast a setup as possible. Do your research. Make sure you are fully aware of all the possible scenarios that could play out, and be brave. If you think you've heard the right thing or you've seen the right thing, pull the trigger. Don't hesitate. Trust your instincts. Trust your research. Be confident. And try and run those winners.
Yeah, and I met you a few months ago in London, and I saw you use market profile on your screen. And is that the standard tools for the traders?
Market profile is just one of a number of tools that we use. I personally believe that the more indicators that you have, particularly when using technical analysis, the more indicators you have that point to a particular buy or sell signal at a certain price, the better that trade should be. So the more strings you have to your bow and the more technical analysis you have that give you an indicator, the better. So it's just market profile is just one of a number of tools that we use. There is no one size fits all. As I said, it's a combination of everything. So we will be constantly updating our charts. Some people use stellar charts, TT charts, CQG. We have market profile, obviously. It's any number of technical analysis tools that you can, as I say, if they all point, if every indicator you have is pointing at a sell signal at a certain price in a certain product, then that should make that trade that much better.
Not many traders know market profile. in China because it's not very popular, and most traders use Fibonacci retracement or moving average. But things are changing. Traders are seeking more advanced technical indicators to trade better. And for entry-level young traders, what indicators or tools do you suggest they should use?
Everything. I mean, I know I sound like I'm being vague, but you need to know everything. You need to know your moving averages, your Bollinger Bands, your point and figure, your trend channels, your pennants, your Fibonacci retracements, everything. The more, as I said, the more indicators you can have that will point to a sell or a buy signal in the market, then the stronger that level should be. So there is no one particular indicator that we lean towards. We try and utilize everything.
We trade manually with mouses, but there are AI and high-frequency trading or high-frequency traders in the market now. And how can we beat high-frequency traders? Can we use these technologies to trade better?
Yes and no. Point and click trading has become a lot harder with the advancement of machines and optic fibers, and more trading desks being manned by coders and software engineers rather than actual traders. In terms of speed, you're never going to beat the machines. You are going to get manipulated by the high-frequency traders as well. However, the machines will always get caught out, that the human element will always exist when there's an unscheduled event or an unscripted comment or announcement that comes out into the market and catches these machines out. And if you are fortunate enough to be sat at your desk when one of these comments comes out and you don't have orders in your book, you'll be able to capitalize on that. And as you said this morning, for example, you had the PMIs come out of France and Germany. Yes, the machines are going to take the first 6, 7, 8 prices maybe in the Bund, but the Bund came off another 40, 50 ticks after that. So there is still plenty of cream there for the point and click traders to get on board and ride the wave and make some profits out of an out of line number.
Have you suffered from a huge loss in your trading career? Why did it happen?
Yeah, there's been a few. Fortunately, more winners than losers. But yeah, the main events that spring to mind, 9/11 obviously was huge market impact. The coordinated rate cuts from the world central banks during the financial crisis was big. The Swiss euro depegging, there's been a few, but that's what we're here for. We're here to make money out of price mismatches in the market, not to make money out of other people's misery. We're trading against other traders, so that's what traders want. They want volatility, they want big market action, and those kind of key events that happen, albeit rarely, offer that.
When you were suffering from a huge loss, what was your state of mind? For me, I would stop trading and chat with my trader friend for a little bit before I trade again. How do you manage to readjust yourself?
That's a very good question. It's different with every individual. Some people are very good at getting back on the horse and getting straight back in the market and keeping a clear mind and trading their way out of losses. Most people I know, if they hit a certain level in a day of losses, be disciplined and say, that's me, done for the day. I'm going to go away, reassess, clear my mind, come back and fight again another day. It really does depend very much on the individual and their mindset, but you should always have a daily, weekly, monthly stop in mind, depending on your sort of trading style. And if you get to that stop, you must be disciplined and, like I say, live to fight another day. Otherwise, you will blow yourself up very quickly and your trading career will be very short.
You said that traders can learn technical and fundamental analysis from books, but how about trading psychology?
Well, yeah, you kind of hit the nail on the head there. That you can be taught from a book. You can learn technical analysis. Anyone can learn technical analysis, fundamental analysis. Anyone who can read. But 90% of trading, I believe, once you've learned the basics, is in your head. And the only person who can really control what's in your head is you. You do find there are a number of trading psychologists around these days. The same way that sports people have psychological sporting coaches out there. If you can master your mind, if you can stick to your rules and be disciplined, and that is a psychological skill, then you're giving yourself every chance of success. But it's about you mastering your mind and keeping track of your emotions and your discipline. The only person that can do that is you.
Retail traders always think that they lose more than they win, and they are not disciplined enough, and they trade too frequently. And you have traded a lot of new traders, and how do you instruct them in terms of trading psychology?
Trading psychology is, as you write, it's a very, very important part of anyone's armory. You can teach anyone technical analysis, you can teach anyone fundamental analysis, but the psychology part is the tricky bit. And as everybody is different, everybody's mind works differently, so it's not as black and white as everything else that you can teach. It's very important to have a set of rules. There are no fixed rules in place. You have to make those rules specific to yourself. They're very individual, but you should have a set of rules that you try and stick to every day. Rules for the upside as well as rules for the downside. That will help with your discipline, and with your discipline comes sort of your mental state as well. So if you are keeping your discipline, whether it is to the upside or the downside, then that should help with your trading psychology and how you approach each day and how you bounce back from losses.
Lots of traders or investors who want to be traders don't know how to plan their trading plan. And they might have a plan in mind, but when they enter the market and they trade a live account, they forgot their plans. They just forgot their plans and turn into gamblers. And what are your suggestions for making trading plans?
That's where the discipline part comes in, because if you make a set of rules and you can't stick to your own rules, then you probably shouldn't be trading. And if you do keep breaking your own rules, then you've only got yourself to blame. I think it's very important to visualize goals and targets, but also it's important to write them down so you can see them. It makes them a bit more real, certainly for myself, but everybody's different. Everybody's mind works differently. What works for one may not work for another. But certainly writing down goals and targets, stops, what you're willing to make, what you're willing to lose in a day, in a week. On a Monday morning, come in and make sure you know all the information that's due to be released into the market that week. Make sure you know what figures are coming out, what central bank speakers are due, what auctions are coming out, etc. Basically, be fully prepared. And if you are fully prepared and you've done your research and you've got your rules and you are disciplined, then you're giving yourself every opportunity to make money in the markets.
You set up Devantos in central of London, and please give us a brief introduction about the Devanto and the reason why you set up this business.
Devanto was really formed to produce the next generation of traders. We used to take on a lot of graduates. We would train them up in our style of trading, and then we would back them as locals to trade the company account. So as I said before, we have a small market making operation under Devento. We have the proprietary trading arm of Devento, and then we also have the training provision.
I'm just interested about the name. When you give the name Devento, you said it's because it's Italian, means to become. So why choose the Italian words? Yeah, why choose the Italian words to name your company?
That's a very good question. I just like the name of it, and I also like what it meant. It sounds better than to become limited. Devento Limited sounds better. So yeah, there is not a lot more to it than that.
Maybe they are good at physics or the numbers. So is it possible if recruit some Chinese guys to come to your office?
The only criteria and requirement of hiring a new trader is that they're profitable. We are not here to help old ladies cross the street. We're here to make money. And as a trader, you're only as good as your last trade. If you have subscribers or anyone in your audience that wants to trade in London, if they can prove with their trading statements that they're consistent and they're profitable, then we'd look at them. Yeah, sure.
How many years you need for the historical, transcript?
There's no fixed timeline, but as long as you've been in the market for, I suppose, a minimum of 6 months, 12 months, that would be enough for us to gauge whether you can sort of cope with most market conditions and events, and it'll give us an idea of how you fared over that course of time.
I know you love soccer, right? And even broke your leg when I saw you last time in London. And do you think like athletes or the sportsmen are much suitable for trading after professional training? So give us if the answer is yes, so why?
As I mentioned earlier, that the core competencies of professional athletes tend to mirror those of successful traders. But what is often overlooked is that athletes and sporting people in general very often can work well on their own, also work very well in a team environment. And trading can be very much like that unless you're sitting at home retail trading. The ability to be taught is often overlooked. All athletes have been taught or mentored by a coach at some point in their career. And that should be the case with traders. You know, all the successful traders I know have been taught by the best or taught by some of the best traders as a mentor or a manager or a boss at some point in their career. So the ability to be taught, sports people and traders, is very similar. But as I said about the core competencies earlier, that discipline, that competitiveness and patience are very important and are relevant in both fields.
I think trading is a job, not an interest. Lots of traders or lots of investors, they are thinking trading is their interest. They love to trade because they think it's interesting. So do you agree that? Because I think it's a job.
It's a lifestyle. What I always used to say to people, this is not a job, this is a career. This is what you should want to do for the rest of your life. Trading, it changes every day. You know, no 2 days are the same, so it may be a lot of things, but it's not boring. Traders don't generally get bored because there's always something to look at, there's always something to research, there's always something to trade. There's no 2 days the same, then that makes it exciting. You don't know what the day is going to hold. You don't know how much you're going to make or how much you're going to lose when you walk into the office. So that makes things exciting. Other jobs, you know, regardless of how you perform, you're probably going to get paid the same amount, certainly with most jobs. But trading's not like that, so that makes it exciting.
Okay. All right. That's all I asked today. Thank you so much. I mean, there's a lot of strategies in the proper shop. That's quite rare in the market, and no one talk about that. All right, thanks a lot, James.
Thank you, Richard. Appreciate it.
大家看过我们的访谈之后呢，相信对于自律性上面或对于交易心理学上面有一些新的想法。因为我和他交流过程当中，他给到我最大的一个感触就是他自律的生活和对于体育的热爱。我们说体育健将型的人是很适合做交易的，很多的海外的或者英国的交易公司和美国的交易公司都很喜欢招这类型的人，大家可以从中去找一些答案。那他同时也在说了，在自营交易公司当中如何去面对现在的这些高频交易者，那可能很多的行情我们就不能操作的，而在特定的行情当中去跟随程序化，跟随这些高频交易者。超短线上面1到2个点的收益的话，那只有高频交易者才能去完成它。所以他也给我们带来了一些比较前沿的交易分析上面的一些方法和他们现在正在运用的一些交易技术。那我们下一期的预告是我们会介绍另外一名交易员，我称之为他是策略师中的策略师首席中的首席，因为他曾经是英国大型的商业银行的策略部的主管，英国大型商业银行期权部的主管。ING 这些顶级投行的可转债部的主管，那他会给我们带来更多在机构做市商领域当中你都从来没有听过的内容。他也会给到我们介绍更多他自己的职业发展的方向，他怎么做到在32岁就财务自由搬到了黄金海岸，享受他的人生。那这是我们下期的嘉宾希望大家关注我们下期的内容。